What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about this the new Create Multiple Products beta, but it's about to be the only way to upload products, so I thought now was an appropriate time to make a video more explaining what's possible with this tool and just how you interact with this new way of uploading products on Merch by Amazon. In the past videos, I've really glazed over this and just kind of showed you the basics of how to upload the different artworks to different shirts, but I haven't gone through each of like these detail pages and talked about, you know, my preferences and things that I'm doing for each of these products. So that's what I'm going to try and do today. I'm not going to try to spend too much time on this, but I did want to give, you know, more information than I have in the past because, again, like I said, on September 3rd, which is actually my birthday, they are switching over to just using this as the way to upload. So you'll no longer be able to go through and just do one t-shirt or whatever product that you had picked. You'll have to go through this multiple products uploader. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today. Before we get started with that, I did want to talk about the update that they just did. If you check your notification bar, this is, you know, August 27th, 2019, excuse me. And this was released just yesterday, I believe, but it's talking about just a lot of best practices, which I really appreciate that they improved this section of their like FAQ area. And the information in here is really, really good. This is stuff that I know to be true from, you know, teaching and from actually living in the screen printing world for quite a while. That was, you know, what industry I came from before I was doing print on demand solely. So a lot of this information is really good at just comparing how stuff looks on your screen versus how it's actually going to print out, and just information that I have created like test shirts for, but to be able to see all these screenshots and then to talk about everything. I really, really appreciate Amazon for doing this and just showing off all these different guides to help us design better. Just things that, you know, I take for granted that I know. So when I'm designing, they're all kind of like baked into the way that I'm designing. But if you go through here and just read all of these things and try to soak up all this information, I definitely think that will help with the way that you're designing and your understanding of what's actually going to be printed out. Since, again, returns are now a thing, we want to make sure that our designs not only look good on the computer screen, but they actually are effective for people when they're, you know, printed out and wearing them around. That's very important so that we don't get a bunch of returns. You know, you can create something that looks great online, you know, but if it's actually printed out on a shirt and it looks, you know, not so great, then you're probably going to get some returns on that. So great information in here. Highly suggest that you go check this out. It's in their, you know, FAQ section under best practices. So go look at that. It's actually, sorry, not under their FAQ, but under the Merch by Amazon overview, best practices. This is very good information here. All right. So the last thing I want to show before I actually dive into each one of these products individually is actually the view artwork guidelines. So I know these because, you know, like I said, I'm always resizing my images, or my graphics rather, to fit on all the different products because, you know, why not? It's just a little bit of resizing that we've got to do, and we have more products up on Amazon, which is a fantastic thing to do. But if at any point you forget exactly what sizing you should be using for those other products, they've built, again, another great place to get some of those resources, or just to see, you know, the exact sizing that you should be using. So the 4500 by, you know, 5400 for most of their products, or for their larger hoodies and the zip up hoodie, that 4500 by 4050 pixels is for that. And then for the pop socket, 485 by 485 pixels, you know, is what sizing you're going to have to use for a pop socket. So just a quick glance over this again, if you want to come through here and read, this is, you know, there's even some good baked in templates that if you are using Photoshop or any of those other design tools, GIMP, Illustrator, are great to have, especially when you first start off, so you can really see what's going on there. And they even have all the different colors and stuff baked in there too. So a great resource. Again, thank you, Amazon. Thank you, Merch by Amazon team, for providing, you know, just great resources for everybody to be using. Okay, now finally, let's jump into the multiple products beta uploader. So when it's time for me to actually upload products, the very first thing I'm doing is going over to the Select Products button. That's going to allow us to select all the different products and for each of the different marketplaces. For me, I don't like selling in .de, or at least it's not part of our, I shouldn't say I don't like selling there. It's not part of our current system to sell in .de because we have found translating just takes a while for us to do. And just, you can go to Google and just, have it auto translate that stuff for you, but we found a higher success rate when we actually had someone who spoke German translating that stuff for us. So it's not an exact like one-to-one translation, but they had a little bit knowledge of the culture and just helped with our DE listings. But that's not something we've continued to do. So usually I'm unselecting .de, just a personal preference, but something to consider when you are making those listings, because you do have to translate those in order for them to be posted over on .de. Besides that, we have actually been resizing all of our designs to fit on all these products, but if you do not want to do that and you just want to have one size so you don't have to resize those, you can uncheck pop socket zip hoodie and the pullover hoodie, and then you'll have just the one size 4500 by 5400 that you can upload to all of these products, and you will have to uncheck that for .uk as well, so something to keep in mind. I'm going to go ahead and recheck those back because I do want to upload those today, and I'm going to hit continue. For me at this point, the next thing I'm doing is actually uploading the artwork for all of these products. That way when I start to pick the colors and decide if it's going to be on youth or not, I want to make sure that the design looks good on all those colors. So actually having the designs uploaded is a big help. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I'm going to use this design that we created before for one of my other videos. If you haven't seen my quick listings for Merch by Amazon, I definitely suggest you go and check those out. A link for those will be down in the description. So you can see that's the design sized properly for most of the shirts. Now for the sweatshirt, we're going to go ahead and upload this one, and I'll do the pop socket at the same time while we're waiting for that to load. Just again, so we can actually see the colors on all these products, how it's going to relate to this design. For this one, it's pretty straightforward. This is an all white design, so probably nothing too crazy that we're going to have to deal with as far as the colors go, but it's always nice to actually see how your design is going to look on the shirt as you're picking the colors. So now that that is all loaded in, we can actually hover over all these colors and see how they look with our different designs on there. Obviously, I wouldn't want to select white because it'd be really hard to see that white design. Black on black is something that me and Steven always joke about, a black design on a black shirt. That actually does work because, some people like designs that are hard to see on the shirts, but white on white, I haven't seen be as popular. I haven't actually seen any shirts white on white. So if you guys try that out and have success with it, definitely let me know. I'd be interested in knowing that information. And while you could select all of these colors because they removed the 5 color limit that they used to have, I usually don't suggest that you do that. One, I don't think your design is going to look good on all these colors, and two, it is a bit overwhelming. If you've ever bought anything on Amazon that has 20 different colors that you could select from, you can get almost confused looking at all those colors and feel like there's too many options there, and actually move on to the next design or something that's a little bit more straightforward. And that's, I think, why originally they had that 5 color limit, because they did their customer research and knew that that was a good amount. So usually I'm sticking to that 5 color limit still. And one way that I'm making sure that I'm only staying to about 5 colors or even less is making sure that I'm only having one of each hue of color. So I'm not going to select 2 different purples or 2 different blues. Usually I'm just selecting like one type of blue, one type of purple, one type of red, and not selecting both, because if you look at like cranberry and red, they're so similar that you don't want to offer both those things and just kind of confuse your customers. So while one can look better for a design or not, most of the time I'm picking cranberry, especially for all white designs. I think just having a darker red looks good, but those are some things to keep in mind when you're picking colors for your shirts. As for this youth sizing up here, by default it is unchecked, and that's because you cannot sell certain products, or certain designs rather, on youth sizing, and you can definitely look in their terms of service to see what types of designs are allowed on youth and which aren't allowed on youth. But for this one, we know that this saying is okay for youth to have, or it to be printed on youth-sized shirts, so that is fine for us to check here. So once we've got, I'll just go ahead and pick a few of these colors. I think black is always good. Brown looks good. That cranberry rather, looks good, and then I'll select the olive. So just 4 colors. While there are definitely other colors that this design will probably look good on, I like to just keep it to 4 or 5, and then move forward and not overthink this. This is definitely a place, I've helped people do listings over the years, and this is somewhere you can definitely get stuck and feel overwhelmed, or, oh man, I should have picked this exact color. As long as you always have black selected and a few good accenting colors, I wouldn't stress over this area too much. Now, definitely the way that you're looking at your landing zone, if you're seeing, orange is super popular for this landing zone, then I would go ahead and select orange, but don't stress, this, garment color too much. The bigger factor here is actually getting these listings up and live, rather than stressing over every little detail. Now, the last part of this is actually price, and our strategies have changed a little bit over the years. For right now, we are still just keeping this price at $19.99, but there has been, a lot of success we are having in our business, at least, with bumping this price up, even all the way up to $14.99. So that is something to keep in mind, as you're almost doubling your profit that you're making from each one of these shirts. Now, your landing zone has to kind of support that, but it does give the customer a feeling that they're buying a more premium product, and if they really do like your design, they're not going to have a problem paying $5 more for it. So those are just some things to keep in mind. You can definitely go lower if you're just trying to, get your first couple of sales and make sure that you're tiering up. But the place that we are right now, we want to see as much profit from each shirt or product that we are selling as possible. So we have been having success selling at $24.99, excuse me. And if you take note here, you can actually change the price for each marketplace. Since we're not selling on DE, this is grayed out, but for UK, we could bump this up to, $23.99 if we wanted to, remembering this is euros, which are a little bit higher in value than the American dollar currently. So just things to keep trying out here. Again, you can go up or down, but that $17.99 has worked over for us on UK. So this is not something to stress out about. Finding the exact right price point is something that you can add to your strategy, but if this is what's stopping you from getting those listings up, just leave it at that $19.99 or $17.99 price, and kind of move forward with it. We are always focused on speed and prioritizing speed. We know that a lot of people who are doing merch by Amazon, this is not their full-time gig, so you don't want to make it put up any extra road barriers for yourself. We'll be teaching on how to look at landing zones, kind of read what best garment colors to be using, and what best prices we think can be used there, but this is definitely not something to get completely hung up on in the beginning. If you are just starting off, or you're just trying to build a system for your Merch by Amazon account or your print-on-demand business, worrying about all these little details too much will slow you down and effectively limit the amount of shirts or products that you could possibly put up. And what we're really learning from is where we're having sales. So if you're able to put up, 50 different shirts, and you're seeing, okay, these, this quad bike racing shirt or anything in the racing niche was not selling for me, but shirts over in gardening were selling really well for me, then I can focus more on those gardening shirts, and then I have a customer base to go after where I can start to study what colors are working best and what price points are working best, rather than trying to do all that work up front and a customer base that we don't fully understand and we're having a hard time cracking into. We just want to test the waters and then move forward, kind of making our listings as robust as possible. So that's my free little side rant for you guys today on kind of the way that we're focused on our print-on-demand business. But you just go ahead and repeat kind of that process for each one of these products, making sure that you pick a few colors that your design looks good on, but not too many. You don't want to overwhelm the customer, and just picking price points that make sense. Again, looking mostly at the landing zone. If customers are used to buying higher priced products, then you can bump the price up. If there's a lot of competition and it's still somewhere that you want to go after, maybe bumping that price down so that you can get some sales initially. I did want to make one note about this baseball tee that's pretty popular here. The colors on this work a little bit differently, since there's like a base color and an accent color. So just something to take note of. White designs don't usually work well on this type of product, just because most of the main colors are white. So that's something that we've found. It's kind of hard to sell white designs on this type of product. So usually having a variation of your design that you can upload separately to this type of product product works out well, but usually white designs, we're just staying away from this. So we just go up here to select products and actually unselect that if it is an all white design, just because, it doesn't look great. Outside of that, I guess the last thing I could talk about is the background for pop sockets. You do actually have to include a background color, which is the only product on Merch by Amazon you have to do that for. But you don't come in here and select what color you want. The background of the actual image or design that you're uploading to the pop socket is what is going to be used for the background here. So that's something else to keep in mind. We've tried moving this price point up and down and haven't had too much success with it. So while we're not super happy with this $2.25 royalty fee that we get, pop sockets are still selling pretty steadily, so it's an extra thing that you can do and sell using the same keywords and everything, and just resizing this. So it's a little bit of extra work, but you might actually start making some sales with it. So we think it's worth, the way that we have our team set up, we think it's worth just resizing that and adding the design here, with a few extra minutes worth of work. Moving on down to the product detail area. This has changed up just a little bit, mostly for your titles. And they even have this here saying, don't put t-shirt in your title anymore, since it's going on all these different products. You don't want to have the word t-shirt in there. And so that's something we've got to be aware of. So even if we are using our landing zone technique, which is where we put the exact landing zone where we found this design as our title, we want to make sure that we're moving t-shirt or, whatever we're finding it for, pop socket, hoodie, remove any of those product keywords and just keep, the keywords that the customers would be searching in there. This is another area where I would highly suggest, if it's somewhere that this is like what's crippling you, you can actually skip these key product features or their bullet points. You can see that it says optional right here, and the product description is also optional. We've talked to some people in the past where this is like kind of their bane, or their Achilles heel in their business is having to figure out what good bullet points to write, and so we've just told them to skip that, and their business started being a lot more successful, because instead of being crippled by having to make bullet points, which is a hard thing to do, especially when you're first starting off, they were actually able to get up a lot more listings just creating a brand name and a design title, which again we have separate teaching on. I'm not going to go too deep on that today, but I just want to encourage you, if this is something that slows you down, if you're taking more than 5-10 minutes for this, definitely think about just leaving these blank and just posting this public anyways. While keywords are a great thing to help your listing, they're not what is ultimately going to make or break your listing. So just something to think about. Again, encouraging people who might just be starting off. There's a lot to learn here. There's a lot to do. You got to gather keywords. You got to make designs. You got to make these listings. Not trying to get too stuck up in the weeds with making your listings as optimized or as robust as possible from the very beginning can be a big help. And again, the only way you're going to make any sales is if you're actually getting products up on Amazon. And that means, maybe not always making the most optimized listings or the highest quality of listings, but making sure that you're getting those listings up so you can get that information back from Amazon of, okay, did this sell? Is this worth my time to go back and maybe make some more robust listings or better designs, or, find better keywords, whatever it may be. And so that's basically it. The public link is usually what we're putting all of our shirts on, unless we're working with, a nonprofit or a church or something that wants to just keep that privately available for their group that they're working with. Then you can give them that link directly to that product. But Amazon, the reason that we're selling here is because of all the traffic that they have coming here, all the customers that have come to this website ready to buy. So that's a huge reason that we love selling on Amazon, and so we don't see a lot of reason to not put this link as public, so anyone can find it and buy our products. So I hope that was helpful for you guys today. I know this was a little bit different of a video, but I've had some people asking me to explain this uploader a little bit more thoroughly, since I usually just skip over it. I think it's pretty straightforward, but there are some details about like this baseball tee and knowing how many colors to pick that can be a bit confusing. So I just wanted to clear those things up and encourage you guys to join us on Mondays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're having a lot of fun going through Steven's idea of discover, understand, serve. We're in the last section of this content that we've been teaching, and that's what we'll be doing in September. All of September, we're kind of talking about this idea of serving and how we can best serve the customers that we have discovered and understood. In the last 2 months, that was those sections. So we appreciate if you guys join us over there live. That is again on Monday nights at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. A link to watch that will be down in the description below as well. And until next time, I hope you guys have good luck on Merch by Amazon.